Once Bill retired from CETA and we were going to move back to the West Coast, we decided that we would need to upgrade our wills. And so our investor in Ottawa gave us the name of Robert Pelakowski out here. And we did contact Robert once we got settled. And he felt that because we had property out here and Bill was still doing some consulting and we had issues to sort of put together, that we needed an estate planner, and so he introduced this to Malcolm and Investaflex.
During our initial discussions, before we'd decided to go with Investaflex, Malcolm made it very clear that his approach was family-oriented, estate-oriented in terms of keeping the resources in the family, and he didn't make any approach towards selling us a product until we'd had several discussions along these lines, so he felt comfortable in knowing what our long-term and mid-term and even short-term goals were and how they fit in with our family situation and the legacy. And going back to an earlier question about the will, it was actually a couple of years after we started working before we felt confident enough in what we had done in order to write the will. And in fact, in truth of fact, by the time we got to it, the will was a very simple document to prepare because Malcolm's estate plan covered so many things. The PRISM approach is unique, and I think very valuable and very useful. It's requires discipline of thinking of all these questions and analyzing your thoughts and your feelings in terms of how those questions should be answered, and it makes you face up to these things before you do anything further. And once you've done that thinking and analyzing, then the PRISM approach gives you a measure of thumb in order to allocate your monies between the different types of investments that are available. Another item that I felt especially valuable was the correlation matrix, which I'd never seen in that exact application, but it does allow you to analyze the diversification of your portfolio, and certainly allows you a better chance of achieving a satisfactory risk and a satisfactory return. I think the other aspect, which is not maybe unique but certainly a very valuable step, is the fact that they use a relatively small number of funds that are managed by a relatively small number of portfolio managers, all of whom are rated as excellent by Morningstar.
I think that they've done a lot of research into the managers, and so they know who is performing and who is falling down a little bit, and so it's made it easy for us to sort of go with the people who have their eye on the ball, sort of thing.
The life planning is the basis for everything else, and that's the way that Investaflex approaches the problem. And once you've established some frame of reference for that, then the other things begin to fall in place. I guess with us, the emphasis was on tax planning and estate planning and legacy planning in the initial stages. Once that was accomplished, then we could write the will and go on from there, and then the cash flow and the incapacity planning really, I guess, had been pretty well taken care of because I was retired by that time, and obviously most of that fell into place over the things that had been done in previous years. Investment planning, we continue to do that all the time. As the situation changes, the market changes and so on. And Victor calls us up and we go in and review the situation, and so that continues to this day.
But we have the final input as to what changes we want to make to our will. It's not as if somebody is saying this has to be done and we go along with it. We have the final say as to what we choose. This was wonderful. It did give us the funds to help our daughter and son-in-law go through the in vitro fertilization process. And from that we have the most beautiful red-headed grandson that you could ever imagine. He's just been a joy to us, and we felt that if we had spent money in any way at all, that was the most positive thing going for us. By making the funds available for us to do what was necessary at the time.
It fits in so well with the way Investaflex approaches this sort of thing. It puts the emphasis on the fact that the family is the important aspect of everything, really. Certainly we feel that Investaflex has served us very well in terms of all of our goals. In the beginning, given our situation and the fact that I was doing consulting, and we had held some property in Surrey at that time, which we were attempting to maintain as an investment property, but minimize the tax burden. So Malcolm suggested, and we agreed, that we form a company. And certainly while I was consulting, the company allowed us to split income and saved us a considerable amount of tax. It still does that at this point in time. We still split some income that way. So yeah, we have had considerable tax savings because of the planning that we have done, and this suits us fine, because I spent enough time in Ottawa to know how badly our funds are wasted. So I don't mind paying what I have to, but I don't want to pay any more than I have to.
We have on several occasions recommended Investaflex to our friends and colleagues, and we feel that they have served us so well that we're letting people know that we are really pleased with them. And I think that it's probably better for people in a family situation rather than just an individual investor who just wants to make quick money or something like that. I think that Investaflex really centers in on the family and helping the family situations.